this is Stampy, and welcome to a Minecraft Let's Play video, and another video inside of Stampy's lovely world.
Imagine a place untouched by the chaos of the world. No notifications, no comparisons, no noise, just calm. For the millions of kids growing up in the 2010s, that place was real, or at least it felt real. It was a world made of simple blocks, yet somehow more alive than anything else on the internet. Stampy's lovely world. This wasn't just a YouTube series. It was a ritual, a daily escape, a sanctuary made of laughter and light. Every episode began the same way. That familiar, cheerful greeting, that signature laugh, that warmth. Didn't matter who you were or where you were from. Once that video started, you were home. For me, coming home from school every day meant rushing to the computer, dropping my backpack on the floor, and waiting for the screen to load. Sometimes the internet lagged. Sometimes the quality was low. It didn't matter, because the second that world appeared, everything else faded away. My brother and I would sit side by side, eyes wide, smiling. We'd talk about Stampy. We'd talk about what Stampy might build next, or who he might add to the love garden. We even made our own drawings, colorful, clumsy sketches filled with hearts and cakes, hoping to earn a place in that magical list of names. We never got in, but looking back, that doesn't sting anymore. Because the love garden wasn't really about being chosen. It was about believing that you could be, and the idea that kindness, even if unseen, could still exist in a world that often forgets it. That's the secret power of Stampy's lovely world. It wasn't just a show we watched. It was a feeling we carried. And every block Stampy placed seemed to have intention behind it. He wasn't rushing to finish or flexing skill. He was living in that world. A bakery wasn't a structure. It was a symbol of joy. A dog wasn't just an NPC. It was a friend. Even the simplest things, feeding his pets, organizing chess, or making breakfast, felt warm and alive. That rhythm, slow, steady, kind, was rare, even back then. Most creators were already chasing numbers, views, and trends, but Stampy was building something timeless, a world that breathed. He showed that gentleness could exist online, that joy didn't need to be loud to be powerful. Every mistake he made was funny, not frustrating. Every loss was met with laughter, not anger. He didn't just play Minecraft, he showed us how to be in Minecraft. Patient, curious, and joyful. And in that, he showed us how to be more human. The lovely world became an unintentional philosophy, one that taught millions of us, without saying it outright, that life doesn't have to be perfect to be good. That sometimes the simplest days are the ones you remember forever. When I think back to those afternoons, I don't just remember the videos. I remember the feeling of being safe. I remember sitting there with my brother, sunlight fading through the window, the sounds of our parents in the kitchen, and that familiar intro playing through our speakers. For those 20 minutes, the world outside didn't matter. All of the tests, the drama, and the noise, all of it disappeared. We built our own worlds, trying to copy his creations, block for block. We laughed when our dogs fell off cliffs, or when our cakes got eaten too soon. We lived inside that imagination. Stampy wasn't just a YouTuber. He was a friend we'd never meet. A voice that told us it's okay to just be. The funny thing is, we never knew how important those moments would become. They were ordinary back then, but now, they feel like pieces of something sacred, because when you grow up, you start to realize how few things ever made you feel that safe again. It's strange to think how rare a world like this was. The internet, even back then, was already messy. There were toxic lobbies, angry comments, speedruns, and competition. It was never meant to be kind. But Stampy's lovely world was. It was one of the first truly safe digital spaces. No swearing, no cruelty, no judgment. just creativity and care. For a lot of us, it was the first time we saw the internet could be gentle, that a digital space could actually heal you instead of draining you. It was proof that kindness doesn't have to be loud to be powerful. And even though most of us didn't realize it, we were learning empathy, we were learning patience, we were learning how to slow down. When you think about it now, that's profound. Millions of kids found peace, not in a park, not in a church, not in therapy, but in a pixelated world, guided by a man who just wanted to make people smile. There's something deeply human about repetition. We crave rhythm, patterns that ground us, actions that remind us we're safe. And in a strange way, Stampy gave us that. Every episode started the same way. The same laugh, the same balcony view, the same line. It was like a heartbeat, steady, comforting, and predictable. When life got chaotic, that routine became an anchor. It reminded us that no matter what changed, something familiar would always be waiting. And in a time where the internet constantly shifted, where trends, memes, and games vanished overnight, that consistency was rare. Watching him bake a cake or greet his pets wasn't just entertainment, it was meditation. Kind of quiet stability that modern content almost refuses to offer now. And maybe that's why it stayed with us for so long, because in every episode, Stampy gave us something the world couldn't. Peace. We grew up, we got jobs, responsibilities, heartbreaks, and somewhere along the way, we stopped watching Minecraft Let's Plays. But sometimes, late at night, we stumble back to those old videos, and it hits us. The nostalgia, the warmth, the ache of remembering who we used to be. It's more than just remembering our childhood. It's remembering innocence, a time before comparison, before anxiety, before we started worrying about being enough. Watching those videos now feels like visiting your old home. The walls are smaller, the colors faded, but the feeling is still there. You remember the laughter, the smell, the light from the windows. It's not the same, but it doesn't have to be, because the magic was never in the world itself. It was in us, in who we were when we watched it. The lovely world taught lessons that went far beyond gaming. It taught that joy doesn't need to be loud, that success isn't about winning, it's about caring, that imagination is sacred, and that kindness can be contagious. When we watched him, we learned how to build, not just in Minecraft, but in life. We learned that making something for others to enjoy was one of the purest forms of love. We learned that even a blocky world could carry warmth, and that laughter, real laughter, doesn't age. My brother and I never made it into the lovely garden, but that's okay, because the truth is, we were always a part of it. Every viewer was, every person who smiled, who built something inspired by him, who carried that feeling of joy into their own worlds. We all lived in that garden, just not in the way we expected. In a world that moves too fast, that pushes you to perform and compete and compare, Stampy's lovely world still stands, frozen in time, untouched, unchanged, a relic of an internet that used to be kind. It's not just nostalgia, it's a reminder, a message that maybe the best parts of the internet and of ourselves were never about the algorithms or metrics. They were about connection, about joy, about safety. The lovely world wasn't just a place we visited, it became a part of us, a quiet corner of our minds that still believes in gentleness, even when the world forgets how. So maybe this isn't just a story about Minecraft. Maybe it's about us, about the people we were, and the parts of ourselves we're still trying to find again. Because somewhere, in a digital world filled with laughter and light, there's still a sign that says, "Welcome to Stampy's lovely world." And for a moment, everything feels okay.